today we are going to get right into it. We are making this classic white bread. It is from the cookie index cards that I have, and it is from 1958. As you can see, this recipe is for 2 loaves, but I am just going to half the recipe today because my husband cannot go through 2 loaves of bread that quickly. This is strictly for gluten flour. This is not gluten-free, so just wanted to put a little disclaimer out there. So if you're going to try out the 2 loaves, I put the recipe measurements on the screen there for you, but from here on out, I'm going to be telling you the 1 loaf measurements. Okay, so I started out by heating up 3/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of milk on the stovetop. You can put it in the microwave if you'd like. In a small bowl, you're going to put 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, 2 tablespoons of warm water, and you need 2 tablespoons of sugar set aside for the flour, but I put a little bit of that sugar in with the yeast just to help the yeast grow a little bit. So my milk got a little too warm. As you can see, it should be at about 110 or so, 110 degrees. So I put it in this glass measuring cup to cool down. Sometimes transferring it from a hot bowl to a cold bowl can cool it down quite quickly. And there I just put the rest of that first tablespoon of sugar in with the milk, and then a second tablespoon of sugar. So 2 tablespoons of sugar total, and then 1/2 tablespoon of salt. Am I confusing you at all? After the salt, I went ahead and put in about 3 tablespoons of butter in with the warm milk to kind of get it all melty and soft. And as you can see, it cooled down a little bit so that it will not kill the yeast. I went ahead and put the yeast in a bigger bowl. Probably didn't need to do it in a small bowl, but I hardly ever know what I'm doing half the time. And then we're gonna add in all that warm milk and butter and sugar. The sugar kind of lumped at the bottom, so I was just using my spatula to scrape it up. And then you're gonna put in 3 cups of sifted flour. Now, I actually did sift this flour through my sifter and then measured it out in a measuring cup to make sure that the dough would not be super duper dense. So I highly recommend doing that. Today we're going to use our hands and not a machine. I do not have a standing mixer, so I am just using my hands to mix this bread today to show that it is possible to mix bread with your hands. Me and my standing mixer, which I said I don't have, we do not get on best of terms, so I have disowned it and say that I do not have one. After you've kneaded the dough for quite some time in the bowl, for a couple of minutes, not quite some time, for a couple of minutes, I went ahead and kneaded it some more on a floured surface. Just to kind of get the gluten all, I don't know what the word is, glutenized? I don't know. But this is kind of one of my favorite parts, is folding it in on itself and turning it into a nice little round ball. And then we're going to put it in a greased bowl with some oil on top as well. And you're going to cover it and let it rest for about an hour. You definitely want it to double in size. Or as the instructions say, until doubled in bulk. So it's been quite some time. It has doubled and risen. It seems a little bit, as I punch it down, it seems a little on the denser side, but I've never made this recipe before, so I don't know how to compare it to making this beforehand. This is the first time I've ever made it. And this is the first time I've ever done this particular way of shaping the dough into a loaf, it told me to stretch it out on a flat surface and then fold it in over itself, kind of like you would fold a piece of paper into thirds. You'll see here in a second. So we'll see how it turns out. But after you put it in a greased loaf pan, you go ahead and cover it and let it also rise for about 45 minutes. Then you're gonna bake it in a hot oven at 400 degrees. Now the recipe says bake it for 50 minutes to an hour. I strongly encourage you to check it at about 25 minutes because as you can see, mine is super golden brown. It is well past the temperature that needs to be done, which is 190, and it was only in the oven for about 25 minutes. So please check it at 25. Do not burn your loaf if you try this. I don't want you to burn your little loaves. I went ahead and also, while it was still very warm, brushed it or smeared some butter on top. Ooh, I don't know if I like that word smeared. I melted the butter on top. I'll just say that. I've always left my bread in the loaf pan while it cools down, and I have heard that it cooks a little bit more in the loaf pan, but this recipe told me to remove it from the pan at once to cool. So I was just following the instructions. I don't know any better. So I went ahead and just decided to pull it out as soon as I could. It was very difficult to get it out. But voila, it didn't really rise in the center. It kind of had a little divot there. Yeah, it was very odd. This recipe didn't rise. But ta-da! There we go. And here's a review from my husband. I just want you to try it and give me your review.
Okay, just
take whichever one you want. Seems a little dense, maybe.
I'm fine.
Just tastes like classic white bread.
Mm-hmm.
You thumbs up. Nice.
Mashed crisp outside, I like the curves. It's cooled down a bit, so it'd be better, like still warm, and it'd be good grilled, like you've seen picture.
Cool.
Which is how I normally do homemade bread.
Well, there you have it. It is husband approved. And as you can see, it is very bendy and soft. It actually was quite soft. I was very happy about that. All right, well, there is the first bread down. On to the next. All right, so this next recipe is specifically designed for gluten-free flour, so you can't swap this out for regular flour. This is one of my newfound favorite recipes. It is cinnamon pull-apart bread. It is absolutely delicious. And the first thing you're going to do is warm up 1 cup of water, and then you're going to put in 2 teaspoons of yeast, and just like I did before, a little bit of sugar from pre-measured 1/4 cup of sugar. You see I had it already measured out right there, but I just put a little bit of sugar in to help the yeast activate. And then you're going to put in 2 cups of gluten-free flour. I used Bob Mills cup for cup. And then you're going to put the rest of that 1/4 cup of sugar in there, and then another 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour. So 2 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour in total. And then you have the 1/4 cup of sugar in there, and then about a teaspoon of xanthan gum. If your gluten-free flour already has that in there, this is a xanthan gum right now, then you don't have to put it in. So this is 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then 1 teaspoon of salt. You're gonna give it a nice little mix again. Oh my gosh, this recipe is so good. This is the second time I've made it, and oh, it's so good. Dangerously good, actually. Okay, and my apologies, I forgot to hit the record button while I poured in the 1 cup of warm water yeast mixture and the 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Give it a nice little stir, and then you're going to add in 1 egg. So what you missed there again was just the yeast mixture and then 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And then you saw me put in the 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and then the egg, so we're all caught up. And I mixed this together until it cleaned the sides of the bowl, and it's a little on the sticky side, maybe a little bit stickier than Play-Doh, but it has a nice soft consistency to it. All right, in a small bowl, you're going to put in 1/3 cup of sugar and 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, making your little cinnamon sugar mixture. All right, and then in whatever desired dish you'd like to put it in, you're going to lightly grease or oil your baking dish. And then I used I think this is a 1-inch cookie dough ball, whatever these things are called, scoop. You can totally use your hands if you like. I just like to use this because it already gives me a nice little perfectly round little dough ball, but you can totally use your hands and then make them about this little 1-inch size. Roll it around in the cinnamon sugar and then place it in the dish. All right, and with the rest of the cinnamon sugar, you're going to sprinkle it all over the rest of the little dough balls. Then you're going to cover it with a towel and you're going to let it rise for about an hour. If you're pressed for time, like I was when I first made this, I let it rise for about a half an hour. You don't have to do it a full hour. And then you're going to drizzle about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of melted butter all over them. And then you're going to place them in a preheated oven at 400 degrees and you're going to bake it for about 25 minutes. And now it's time to make the cream cheese frosting mixture and have it go everywhere all over the place. I did about a tablespoon of cream cheese, softened cream cheese, and a tablespoon of softened butter. And then you're going to measure in a half a cup of powdered sugar, a little bit of milk, and some vanilla extract. I actually found out that I didn't have any vanilla extract on hand. I ran out, so I wound up not putting any in this frosting mixture, and it turned out just fine. Powdered sugar likes to go everywhere. That's the one drawback about Pyrex bowls or vintage bowls is I haven't been able to find a deep, at least my Pyrex bowls that I have, the nesting bowls, they're not deep, or, yeah, that's the right word. They don't have tall sides. So powdered sugar likes to go everywhere. All right, the dough balls are done. I checked them at about 160-degree temperature, and they were great, and they were cooked all the way through. And then while they were still warm, I drizzled the cream cheese frosting as best as I could. I tried to make it pretty, but it was a little difficult. As long as you make sure that every single little dough ball has some kind of frosting on it. You don't want to leave any of them out. Ta-da! It smells so good. Now, unfortunately for you, I was taking this to a small gathering, so I couldn't really pull one out and eat it. I did my best to pull it out for you so you can see it up close. And I should have done the little baker's dozen where I had one off to the side. I forgot about that, but I did my best. I showed it to you as best as I could, and I opened one up just a little bit. And then, yep, see, it's all done. I did my best. And then I just kind of covered it with some more icing, so it's like it never happened. But there you have it. We have 2 bread recipes for you, one vintage and one not so vintage. I will leave the original recipe for the cinnamon pull-apart bread down below. Let me know if you try any of these or have tried any of these. And I will see you on the next video. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!